I still remember the first thing Emma ever said to me. "You look like a man who regrets ordering that coffee," she said. I glanced at the cup in my hand. "I regret a lot of things, but this coffee is definitely one of them." She laughed. It wasn't polite laughter. It was real, warm, and unexpected. "Then why are you drinking it?" she asked. "Because I'm too cheap to waste 4 pounds," I replied. "That's either responsible or tragic. I'll let you decide." "Tragic," she said. I smiled before I could stop myself. We were sitting in a small bookstore cafe in London. I had gone there to escape another exhausting workday. Emma had walked in carrying 3 novels against her chest and somehow sat across from me after the last empty seat disappeared. "I'm Emma," she said. "Ethan, do you always joke with strangers?" "Only when I'm nervous." "Are you nervous now?" "A little." "Good," she said. Honest answers are rare. We talked for hours. We argued about books. "Happy endings are unrealistic," she said. "People need hope," I argued. "Hope disappoints people." "Not always." She tilted her head. "You really believe that?" "I have to," I said. I told her about my dream of opening my own business someday. I admitted how often I doubted myself. "I don't usually tell people this much," I said. "Maybe I'm easy to talk to," she replied. She remembered details. Days later, she ordered my favorite coffee before I arrived. "Flat white," she said proudly. "How did you remember?" "You matter enough to remember." Nobody had said something like that to me before. Soon, she became part of my daily life. "How was work?" she would ask. "Terrible. Tell me everything." I did. I told her my fears. I told her my regrets. I told her stories I had never shared with anyone. Lucas noticed immediately. "You're falling too fast," he said one evening. "I'm not." He stared at me. "Ethan, you've known her for months and you're already planning your future around her. Because she's different. People aren't always what they seem. Slow down." I laughed. "You sound paranoid." "You sound blinded," he replied. I ignored him. I wanted to believe I'd finally found the person meant for me. Still, small cracks appeared. "What were your school friends like?" I asked Emma once. She shrugged. "Nothing interesting. You never talk about them. Because they're in the past." Another day, I asked, "Have you ever been seriously in love before?" She looked away. "Why does that matter?" "I'm just curious." "I don't like talking about old relationships," she said quietly. I squeezed her hand. "You don't have to tell me anything you don't want to." She smiled with obvious relief. "Thank you." I convinced myself everyone deserved privacy. Love meant trust. At least that's what I believed. "What would you do if money wasn't a problem?" Emma asked me one rainy afternoon. "I'd build something of my own," I said. "A business that mattered." "Then do it." I laughed. "You make it sound easy." "I didn't say easy," she replied. "I said possible." "What if I fail?" "Then fail trying," she said. "I'd rather hear you say you tried than hear you regret never beginning." I studied her face. "Why do you believe in me so much?" "Because you don't see yourself clearly," she said. "You notice everyone's strengths except your own." Her words stayed with me. Whenever I doubted myself, she pushed me forward. "Send the application," she said. "Take the meeting. Stop apologizing for wanting more from life." I started imagining a future with her in every version of my plans. I thought that was love. Lucas rolled his eyes when I mentioned her name again. "You're smiling at your phone," he said. "So? You never used to do that." "Maybe I'm happy. Maybe you're reckless." I shook my head. "You don't understand." "Then help me understand," he said. I hesitated before answering. "When I'm with Emma, I feel chosen," I admitted. Lucas sighed. "Just promise me you won't lose yourself trying to keep someone else." "I won't," I said. I truly believed that promise. I thought love made people stronger. I didn't realize it could also make them overlook warning signs standing right in front of them unnoticed sometimes. Years later, while sitting beside her on our apartment sofa, I looked at her and asked, "Is there anything about your past I should know?" Emma held my gaze. "Ethan," she said softly, "I've never lied to you." I took her hand. "I know," I whispered. I believed every word. I had no idea that one day I would discover proof that this sentence was the first lie she ever told me. The first crack. Everything changed on an ordinary Tuesday evening. Emma had gone downstairs to collect a food delivery while I stayed in our apartment answering work emails. Her phone buzzed on the coffee table. I glanced at it. Unknown number. Normally, I would have ignored it. The ringing continued. I picked it up. "Hello." There was silence. Then a man's voice asked, "Does Ethan know the truth yet?" My blood turned cold. "What?" I said. "Who is this?" The line went dead. I stared at the phone in my hand. I checked the screen. The call had ended. I stood there frozen as my heartbeat sped up. Truth? What truth? The front door opened. Emma walked inside carrying takeout bags. "You won't believe how long they made me wait," she said before noticing my expression. "Ethan?" I held up her phone. "You got a call." Her smile disappeared. "Who answered it?" "I did." "What?" "A man asked me something." She put the bags down. "What man?" "He said, 'Does Ethan know the truth yet?'" Her face tightened. "Why were you answering my phone?" I blinked. "What?" "You're invading my privacy." "I thought it might be important." "That's not the point." "Emma." Someone asked if I knew the truth. She crossed her arms. "Probably a prank." "Then why are you angry?" "I'm not angry. You just accused me of invading your privacy. You had no right to answer my phone." I searched her face. Usually, I knew exactly what she was thinking. Now, I felt like I was looking at a stranger. "Emma," I said quietly, "is there something you're not telling me?" "No." "Then look at me and say that." She met my eyes. "There's nothing you need to worry about." I wanted to believe her. I almost did. But for the first time since meeting her, fear replaced trust. That fear followed me into work the next morning. Lucas noticed immediately. "You look terrible," he said. "Thanks. I'm serious." "What happened?" "Nothing." "Ethan." I rubbed my face. "It's complicated. Tell me exactly what happened." I hesitated. Admitting my doubts felt like betraying Emma. "I answered her phone," I said finally. Lucas frowned. "And?" I repeated the conversation. He remained silent for several seconds. "That's not normal," he said. "It could have been a prank." "Maybe." "You don't sound convinced." "I'm not." I stared at my untouched coffee. "I trust her." "Do you?" "Of course." Lucas leaned forward. "Then why do you look like your entire world just shifted?" I couldn't answer. Over the next few days, I noticed things I had ignored before. Emma angled her phone away when texting. When I entered rooms unexpectedly, conversations ended. One evening, I asked, "How was dinner with Grace?" "It was fine." "What restaurant did you go to?" "The Italian place." "Which one?" She paused. "The one near the station." "You hate that restaurant." She looked irritated. "Why are you interrogating me?" "I'm making conversation." "Well, stop." I apologized immediately. Later that week, she came home late. "You said you'd be back by 7. I lost track of time." "Doing what?" "Running errands." "What errands?" She sighed. "Why does everything suddenly require an explanation?" "Because nothing made sense anymore." I just didn't say it aloud. Then Grace appeared unexpectedly. I had just left work when I heard someone call my name. "Ethan." I turned. Grace stood near the entrance. "You okay?" I asked. She looked nervous. "We need to talk." "About Emma?" She glanced around. "There are things you don't know." "What things?" She lowered her voice. "You need to." "Ethan?" Emma's voice cut through the moment. I turned. She approached us quickly. "Grace," she said sharply. "What are you doing here?" Grace stepped back. "I was just leaving." Emma's eyes narrowed. "Without me?" Grace avoided looking at either of us. "I'll call you later." Then she walked away. I looked at Emma. "What was that about?" Nothing. Grace said there are things I don't know. Emma forced a smile. Grace has been stressed lately. Emma, please stop making problems where there aren't any. That night, after she fell asleep beside me, I opened the photo gallery on my phone. I scrolled through years of memories. Birthdays, weekend trips, late-night selfies, smiles, promises, plans for a future I thought we both wanted. I studied Emma's face in every picture. I asked myself questions I never thought I'd ask. Had she been acting? Had I missed something obvious? Was I becoming paranoid? Or had I simply been blind? I stared at our happiest photograph until sunrise painted the sky outside our window. Then I made a decision that terrified me. I would investigate the woman I thought I knew. The lies begin to surface. I secretly traced Emma's past because I could not shake the feeling that something was wrong. I told Lucas I needed answers, but I did not tell him everything. I started searching online for Nathan Reed. That name kept repeating in my head. Finally, I found him living in Manchester. I drove there without telling anyone. My hands were shaking the whole way. When I arrived, I saw him outside a small apartment building. Nathan Reed, I called. He turned and frowned. Who are you? He asked. I am Ethan Carter. His expression changed instantly. Emma Brooks, I said. Does that name mean anything to you? He laughed bitterly. Acquaintance, he said. Ethan, we lived together for 3 years. My stomach dropped. What? I whispered. Nathan stepped closer. She told you I was just an acquaintance, didn't she? I nodded slowly. That is not the truth, he said. I felt my chest tighten. Explain, I said. He sighed. Emma does not just forget people, Ethan. She rewrites them. I froze. What do you mean? I asked. Nathan looked away. She changed timelines, changed stories, made herself someone new every time she met someone new. My hands clenched. That is not possible, I said. He shook his head. Ethan, I lived with her for 3 years. I would know. Silence fell between us. I refused to believe everything. There has to be an explanation, I said. Nathan smiled sadly. That is exactly what I told myself. My phone rang. I looked down. Unknown number. I answered. A message appeared. Meet me. Daniel Brooks. I froze. Emma's brother. I read the next line. There are things my sister never wanted you to know. My heart pounded. Where? I typed. Local cafe. 10 minutes. He replied. I left immediately. Nathan called after me, but I did not stop. I reached the cafe early. Daniel was already there. He looked exactly like Emma but tired and older. Sit down, he said. I did. Why are you doing this? I asked. Because you deserve the truth, he said. My throat tightened. He placed an envelope on the table. What is this? I asked. Proof, Daniel said. Proof of what? I asked. Everything, he said quietly. My hands shook as I touched the envelope. You do not want to open it, he said. That made me more afraid. Then why give it to me? I asked. Because Emma will never tell you the truth, he said. I leaned back. My mind raced. Is she dangerous? I asked. Daniel hesitated. Not in the way you think, but she destroys lives without meaning to. I looked down at the envelope. My chest felt heavy. Why me? I whispered. Because you were the one she chose this time, he said. I shook my head. I do not understand. You will, he said. Someday. Silence stretched between us. I thought about Emma, her smile, her lies, her voice. All of it felt different now, like a memory I could not trust. Daniel watched me closely. Open it, he said softly. I hesitated. My fingers moved toward the envelope but stopped. What will I find inside? I asked. The truth, he said. And maybe something worse. My breathing quickened. Why are you telling me this now? I asked. Because you are already in too deep, he replied. My chest tightened. I finally picked up the envelope. It felt heavier than anything I had ever held. Daniel stood up. Ethan, he said. I looked at him. He slowly extended the envelope toward me. My hand moved forward. The air felt heavier. Everything went silent. I finally reached out and took the envelope from him. Daniel hands me an envelope filled with evidence. The day my world collapsed. I sat in my car for almost 20 minutes before opening the envelope Daniel had given me. My hands trembled as I pulled out the first photograph. Emma stood beside me at the bookstore cafe. A date was written on the back. Another photograph followed. Then another. Bank statements. Printed messages. Notes. I forced myself to keep reading. The messages made my stomach twist. He still doesn't know who you are. You planned this perfectly. Just don't fall for him. I won't. I stopped breathing for a second. No, there had to be some mistake. I grabbed another page. It listed details about my life before I had ever met Emma. My job. My routines. The cafe I visited every Tuesday. I whispered. No. I remembered Emma smiling at me across the bookstore. I remembered believing fate had chosen me. Nothing had been accidental. She had known exactly who I was. Our first meeting had been planned. I drove home in a daze. Emma looked up from the kitchen when I walked inside. You're home early. I dropped the envelope onto the counter. We need to talk. She frowned. What happened? I pulled out the photographs. Tell me this isn't true. Her expression changed instantly. Ethan, tell me this isn't true. She stared at the papers. You went through my things? I laughed bitterly. That's your first concern? You don't understand. I understand enough. I held up a message. He still doesn't know who you are. Explain it. Emma covered her mouth. Ethan, please. Explain it. Tears filled her eyes. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. What wasn't? I never meant to hurt you. Then answer the question. She shook her head. I can't. You can. I don't know where to start. The beginning, I snapped. Silence filled the apartment. I looked around our home. The couch we chose together. The framed photos. The life we built. Had any of it been real? Did you know who I was before the bookstore? I asked. Emma closed her eyes. Yes. The room spun. Did you plan that meeting? Please let me explain. Yes or no? Yes. I stepped backward. No. Ethan. No. I pressed my palms against my face. I thought we met by chance. I know. I thought you chose me. I did choose you. You researched me first. I had reasons. What reasons justify this? She cried harder. You don't understand. Then help me understand. I was desperate. For what? It doesn't matter. It matters to me. I picked up another message. You lied about Nathan. I can explain. You lied about how we met. I know. You lied about your past. I know. My voice cracked. Was anything true? Emma sobbed quietly. I loved you. I laughed through tears. How am I supposed to believe that? It was real. Which part? All of it. Except the beginning. She looked away. I felt physically sick. The question that had haunted me for days finally escaped my lips. When did you start lying to me? Emma froze. The silence stretched between us. I already knew the answer. I just needed to hear it. When? I whispered. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Since the beginning, she said softly. I stared at her. The woman I loved. The woman I trusted. The woman I defended. I couldn't recognize her anymore. My knees felt weak. I rushed to the bathroom and vomited. When I returned, Emma reached for me. Ethan, please don't leave. I stepped away. Don't touch me. I can fix this. You built our relationship on lies. I love you. I don't know who you are. You do. No, I said. I know who you pretended to be. I walked into our bedroom. Ethan, I ignored her. I pulled a small travel bag from the closet. What are you doing? Leaving. You can't. I can't stay. She followed me. We can work through this. How? I'll tell you everything. Why now? Because I don't want to lose you. You should have thought about that before. I was scared. So was I said. I trusted you anyway. I packed clothes without thinking. Emma blocked the doorway. Please. I looked at her. I would have forgiven mistakes. Her face crumpled. But you stole my choice. I walked past her. Ethan. I didn't stop. I drove to my mother's house in silence. Margaret opened the door. The second she saw me, her expression changed. Oh, sweetheart. I dropped my bag. I loved her. My voice broke completely. Margaret wrapped her arms around me. I know, she said softly. And that's why this hurts. I cried harder than I had in years. Everything I believed about my life had shattered. Hours later, headlights appeared outside the house. A car door slammed. Then someone knocked desperately at the front door. I looked through the window and saw Emma standing outside in the rain, tears streaming down her face. Ethan, she cried, please talk to me. Please give me another chance. Revenge or forgiveness. I sat across from Emma in a quiet room at my mother's house. The rain still hit the windows, but inside everything felt too still. Emma kept her hands folded. I can explain, she said softly. I didn't answer right away. Explain what? I finally asked. She swallowed hard. My past. Everything I hid from you. I leaned forward. Start talking. She looked down. I was scared, Ethan. Of what? Being alone. I laughed once, but there was no humor in it. So you built a fake life? Tears formed in her eyes. I didn't plan it like that. Lucas stood near the wall, arms crossed. She still made choices, he said. Emma flinched. I know, she whispered. I rubbed my forehead. Just tell me everything. She took a shaky breath. When I met you, I was already in trouble, she said. What kind of trouble? I asked. Money, debt, people I owed. My stomach tightened. You used me, I said. No, she said quickly. I loved you. Then why lie? Her voice cracked. Because I thought I could fix my life before you found out. Lucas shook his head. Pain doesn't erase responsibility, he said firmly. Emma looked at him. I know I hurt him. I stood up. You didn't just hurt me, I said. You built me inside a lie. Silence followed. Later, I walked outside with Lucas. He lit a cigarette but didn't smoke it. You're trying to understand her, he said. I am. Don't confuse understanding with forgiveness. I didn't respond. We sat on the steps. I keep thinking, I said quietly. What if she was just scared? Lucas looked at me. So are criminals sometimes, he said. That hit harder than I expected. The next day, I met my mother, Margaret. She was in the kitchen making tea like nothing had happened in the world. You look like you haven't slept, she said. I haven't. She placed a cup in front of me. Are you thinking about revenge? She asked. I hesitated. I don't know what I'm thinking. Margaret sat down. If you let hatred control you, you'll lose yourself too, she said. I stared at my hands. She lied to me for years, I said. I know. She made me believe everything was real. Margaret nodded slowly. That pain is real, she said. My chest tightened. I don't know how to move forward, I said. You don't need revenge to heal, she replied. That word stayed in my head. Revenge. Forgiveness. Neither felt possible. Later that week, a man contacted me. Ryan Foster. He met me in a small office downtown. You're involved in something bigger than you think, he said. What do you mean? I asked. He slid a folder toward me. Emma Brooks isn't just lying about relationships, he said. I opened it. Bank transfers, fake accounts, transactions I didn't understand. What is this? I asked. Financial manipulation, Ryan said. My voice dropped. Is this illegal? He nodded. It could be serious. My hands went cold. She used me for this? I asked. I think you were part of a larger pattern, he said carefully. I closed the folder. So I could ruin her life with this? Yes, he said. The word hung in the air. Ruining her life. I felt sick. That night, Emma cried in front of me again. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, she said. Her voice broke completely. I never meant for it to go this far. I didn't speak. She looked at me desperately. Say something. I stood up. I need time, I said. She nodded quickly. Take all the time you need. But I didn't sleep. Night after night, I stared at the ceiling. Lucas kept telling me to choose accountability. Margaret kept telling me to let go. Ryan's folder stayed on my desk. Emma's voice stayed in my head. I love you. I was scared. I didn't mean it. But meaning didn't change damage. One night, I opened the folder again. Then I closed it. Then I opened it again. I whispered to myself, "What is justice?" No answer came. By morning, I finally understood something. I wasn't just deciding what to do with Emma. I was deciding what kind of person I would become after her. I stood in front of the window. My hands stopped shaking. And I made a decision that surprised everyone around me. Choosing myself. I stood in front of Ryan's folder for a long time. Then I closed it. I picked up my phone and called him. I'm not using this, I said. There was a pause. Are you sure? Ryan asked. Yes. You know what this means. She walks free. I know. He sounded surprised. Most people don't choose that. I'm not most people. I ended the call. Lucas was the first person I told. You're letting her go? He asked. I'm walking away. He stared at me like I had lost my mind. You could destroy her whole life with what you have. I don't want to live like that, I said. Lucas shook his head. So what now? I focus on me. He laughed once. That sounds simple. It won't be, I said. He didn't argue. Later, I told my mother. Margaret sat quietly after I spoke. You're not doing this for her, she said. No. You're doing it for you. Yes. She nodded slowly. Then it's the right choice. I didn't feel peace right away. I just felt empty. The next morning, I went back to work. Olivia called me into her office. You look like someone who hasn't slept in a week, she said. I haven't. She studied me for a moment. Are you still carrying that relationship? She asked. I hesitated. I'm trying not to. She leaned back in her chair. You survived betrayal, she said. Now learn how to live again. I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. Good, she said. Because I need you focused. Work became my escape. Emails, meetings, deadlines. I stopped checking Emma's messages. First it hurt. Then it became silence. One afternoon, Olivia assigned me to a new project team. That's when I met Sophie. She walked into the meeting with a calm confidence. I'm Sophie, she said. I nodded. Ethan. We worked on the same project files. She didn't ask personal questions. She didn't force conversation. She just listened when I spoke. You're quiet, she said once. I'm tired of hearing my own thoughts. She smiled slightly. That sounds heavy. It is. But she didn't push. That was new for me. Days turned into weeks. I started noticing something small. I wasn't constantly thinking about Emma. Not all the time. One evening, Sophie and I stayed late finishing reports. She leaned back and said, We did good today. I surprised myself by laughing. A real laugh. Did I just hear you laugh? She asked. I think so. Is that allowed? I guess I broke something. She smiled. You didn't break anything, she said. For the first time in months, I felt lighter. After that night, things changed slowly. Not suddenly. Not dramatically. Just quietly. But healing was not smooth. Some nights, I still woke up thinking I heard Emma's voice. Some mornings, I still reached for a message that wasn't there. Lucas noticed. You still thinking about her? He asked. Sometimes. Less than before? Yes. That's progress, he said. But I didn't feel proud. I felt confused. Because part of me still missed her. Not the lies. Just the moments I thought were real. Sophie noticed too. One afternoon she asked, Are you okay? I don't know, I said honestly. She nodded. That's fair. I looked at her. Why are you always so calm? She shrugged. Because people usually aren't honest. You are at least trying. That stayed with me. Later, I told her. I feel like I lost myself. She shook her head. You didn't lose yourself, she said. Someone just made you doubt it. I stayed quiet. She added softly. What she did says something about her, Ethan. It doesn't define you. I repeated those words in my head for days. Slowly, I started believing them. One evening, I stood outside the office building after work. Lucas called. You should see the news, he said. What news? He hesitated. It's about Emma. My chest tightened. What happened? Everything she built is falling apart. I didn't answer right away. I looked at the city lights. For a long moment I felt nothing. Then I whispered, so it's starting. And I didn't know if I felt relief or fear. Karma doesn't knock. I heard about Emma's downfall the same way I heard everything lately. From Lucas. She's losing everything, he said over the phone. I didn't answer right away. Explain, I said. He sighed. People are walking away from her. Friends. Work. Even the people she used to control. I stood by my window. And she's trying to reach you, he added. My grip tightened. Ignore it, I said. You already are, he replied. That was true. Emma called every day. Sometimes twice. I never picked up. I read the messages but never replied. Ethan, please talk to me. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I need you. I deleted them without replying. Lucas met me that evening. You're really not going to answer her? He asked. No. Not even once? No. He studied me. You don't even look angry anymore, he said. I'm not. Then what are you? I hesitated. Tired. He nodded slowly. That might be worse. We sat outside a small shop. He lit a cigarette but didn't smoke. She's falling apart, he said again. I know. You don't sound surprised. I'm not. Lucas leaned back. Do you feel satisfied? The question hit harder than I expected. I didn't answer immediately. I searched inside myself. I thought about everything Emma did. The lies. The manipulation. The life she built on top of me. I thought I would feel something stronger. Anger. Relief. Maybe even victory. But I didn't. I don't know, I finally said. Lucas frowned. You don't know? I don't feel satisfied. What do you feel? Empty. He stayed quiet. I added, like I lost something, even after everything she did. Lucas exhaled slowly. That's normal, he said. I thought I'd feel better, I admitted. He shook his head. Revenge never works the way people imagine it. I looked at him. I didn't even take revenge. Exactly, he said. And you still feel this way. That stayed with me. That night I couldn't sleep. I walked around my apartment. Every corner reminded me of something. Emma's laughter. Her voice. Her presence. Even her lies felt like memories I couldn't erase. I sat on the floor and whispered, why does it still hurt? No answer came. The next day I met Grace. She looked different. Smaller somehow. I should have spoken sooner, she said immediately. I looked at her. Would it have changed anything? I asked. She hesitated. I don't know. Then don't punish yourself for it, I said. She blinked. That's it. I don't have energy for more pain, I said. She nodded slowly. Daniel is struggling too, she added. At the mention of his name, I frowned. He feels guilty, she said. For what? I asked. For protecting Emma. I didn't respond.
Later, met Daniel briefly.
He looked exhausted. I protected her because she was family, he said. Family doesn't mean covering lies, I replied. He nodded. I know that now. Silence stretched between us. Is she okay? I asked without thinking. He looked surprised. I don't know, he said honestly. That answer stayed in my mind longer than I expected. Days passed. Emma kept trying to contact me. Messages turned into voicemails. Voicemails turned into silence. Then started again. Please, Ethan. I just need to see you. I didn't respond. Not once. Lucas asked me again. Do you regret ignoring her? He said. I thought about it. No. Then what is stopping you from feeling better? I leaned forward, because I thought closure would feel like something. And it doesn't. Lucas nodded. Then what does it feel like? I closed my eyes. Like nothing changed, I said. Even though everything changed. He stayed quiet. That was when I understood something I didn't want to admit. Watching someone fall didn't rebuild what they broke. It only showed me what was already missing. I finally said it out loud. Closure isn't revenge, I said. Lucas looked at me. What is it then? I swallowed. It has to come from within. For the first time, I believed it. That evening, I stood by my window again. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. A familiar voice broke through. Ethan, please. My breath stopped. I just need to see you one last time, Emma said, and everything went silent. The last conversation. I stared at Emma's message for a long time before replying. Where? I finally wrote. A location came back almost instantly. A small riverside cafe. I didn't tell Lucas. I didn't tell my mother. I just went. When I arrived, Emma was already there. She was sitting near the window, hands wrapped around a cold cup of coffee. I stood for a second before sitting across from her. Neither of us spoke. The silence felt heavier than any argument. Finally, she looked up. Thank you for coming, she said. I nodded once. I said I would. Her voice shook slightly. You could have ignored me forever. I almost did. That hurt her more than I expected. She looked down again. I studied her face. She didn't look like the same woman I met in the bookstore. No confidence. No control. Just someone trying to hold herself together. I loved you, she said suddenly. The words hung between us. I leaned back in my chair. I think you did, I said honestly. She blinked. But love without truth becomes something dangerous. Emma swallowed hard. I know. That was the first time she didn't argue. I'm sorry, she said. No excuses followed. No defense. Just silence after it. I watched her carefully. Why did you do it? I asked. She looked away. Because I was scared. Of what? Being rejected, she whispered. I frowned. So you controlled every story instead? She nodded slightly. I didn't know how to be honest, she said. I stayed quiet for a moment. Then I leaned forward. Did you ever stop to think what it would do to me? Her eyes filled instantly. I told myself I was protecting you from my mess. That wasn't protection, I said. That was control. She nodded again. I know. The fact that she agreed made it worse. I felt something tighten inside me. One question had been sitting in my chest for a long time. I finally asked it. Did you ever love the real me? Emma froze. The cafe noise faded into the background. She looked at me like she couldn't breathe properly. Tears formed in her eyes immediately. Yes, she whispered. The word was soft, broken, and it hit harder than anything else she had said. I exhaled slowly. And that's what makes this unforgivable. She flinched. I don't expect forgiveness, she said quickly. I know, I replied. She wiped her face, trying to stay composed. I ruined everything, she said. You changed it, I corrected her. She looked confused. What's the difference? I thought about it. Ruining means it breaks by accident, I said. You shaped it. Silence again. This time it wasn't heavy. It was final. Emma spoke again, quieter. Do you hate me? I paused. No. That surprised her. I don't hate you, I repeated. Then what do you feel? I searched for the answer. Nothing dramatic came. Just clarity. I think I understand you now, I said. She nodded slowly. That's worse than hate, she whispered. Maybe she was right. I stood up first. She followed a moment later. For a second, neither of us moved. Felt like the world was waiting. I'm sorry, she said again. I know, I replied. But this time it didn't change anything. We walked outside together. The air felt colder than I expected. At the street corner, she stopped. I don't know how to move on, she said. I don't either, I admitted. That was the only honest thing between us now. She looked at me one last time. Goodbye, Ethan. I nodded. Goodbye, Emma. Then she walked away. I watched her until she disappeared into the crowd. I didn't follow. I didn't call her back. I just stood there. Something inside me felt different. Not healed. Not broken. Just open. And for the first time, I understood something I had been avoiding from the beginning. My story with her had ended. But my story itself hadn't. I looked ahead at the street, the people, the moving world. And I realized quietly, it was beginning again. Becoming someone new. Months passed in a way I didn't notice at first. No big moment. No sudden change. Just slow mornings where I didn't think about Emma right away. Lucas noticed before I did. You're quieter now, he said one evening. I guess I'm just tired of chaos. He smirked. That's the healthiest thing I've ever heard you say. I didn't feel like arguing. I started reconnecting with people I had ignored. Old friends called. I answered. Ethan, where did you disappear to? One asked. I didn't disappear, I said. I just got lost for a while. They laughed, but I didn't. I meant it. Work became easier. I stopped doubting every decision. Olivia noticed too. You're finally breathing again, she said. I didn't realize I wasn't before. She nodded. That's how trauma works. I didn't argue with that either. Then Sophie stayed in my life longer than I expected. We weren't anything official. We didn't rush anything. We just talked. Do you always think this much? She asked once. Yes. About everything? Especially the things I can't fix. She smiled slightly. That sounds exhausting. It used to be. What changed? I thought about it. I stopped trying to control things I lost. She nodded like she understood more than I said. You're different from when I met you, she said later. Better or worse? More honest, she replied. That word stayed with me. Honest. I wasn't used to it. One evening, Lucas and I were walking home. You're not the same guy anymore, he said. I know. That's good, right? I think so. He looked at me. You stopped seeing yourself as a victim, he said. I didn't respond immediately. I stopped waiting for someone to fix what happened, I said finally. Lucas nodded. About time. At home, my mother was waiting with tea like she always was. Margaret studied me quietly. You look lighter, she said. I feel quieter inside. She smiled gently. You came back to yourself. I shook my head slowly. No, I said. I found someone better. She raised an eyebrow. Better than who? Better than the version of me who thought love meant losing myself. She didn't argue. She just nodded. That's growth, she said. I started visiting places I used to avoid. The bookstore cafe. The streets near our old apartment. Even the park where I used to sit with Emma. First it hurt. Then it didn't. One day I stood outside the cafe and realized I wasn't shaking anymore. The past was still there. But it wasn't controlling me. The boy who thought love required sacrifice felt distant now. Like someone I used to know. I whispered to myself, you were trying so hard. And for once, I didn't feel sorry for him. I felt protective instead. Like I was talking to someone who survived something painful. Weeks later, Sophie walked beside me after work. You seem more peaceful, she said. I think I am. Does it feel strange? Yes, I admitted. She smiled. That means it's real. I stopped walking for a second. Do you ever think about starting over completely? I asked her. She shrugged. Every day. That surprised me. But before I could ask more, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Then I answered. A voice I hadn't heard in a long time came through, and everything I had rebuilt suddenly felt uncertain again. One final reminder of the past arrived unexpectedly. The truth I carry forward. I received the letter on a quiet morning. No warning. No message. Just a plain envelope with my name written in handwriting I instantly recognized. Emma. I sat down at my table before opening it. My hands didn't shake this time. I opened it slowly. Inside was a single page. No demands. No apologies that tried to fix everything. Just words. Ethan, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even deserve that. I just wanted to say thank you. You showed me what honesty should have looked like. I wish I had learned it sooner. Emma. I read it twice. Then I sat back. Lucas called me that afternoon. You okay? He asked. I got something from her, I said. Silence. And it wasn't what I expected. What did she say? Nothing that pulls me back. He exhaled. Good. I didn't respond right away. After the call, I folded the letter carefully. I walked to my room and opened a drawer. I placed it inside. I didn't lock it. I didn't hide it, because it no longer had power over me. Sophie noticed the change in me that evening. You look different, she said. Different how? Like something finally ended inside you. I nodded slowly. Maybe it did. We sat near the window. She didn't ask for details. She never forced my past open. That was what made it easier to breathe around her. I looked outside and thought about everything. The lies, the truth, the version of me who begged for answers, the version of me who almost lost himself in revenge. I said quietly, I used to think I needed justice to heal. Sophie looked at me. And now, I think I just needed distance. She nodded. That makes sense. I leaned back. I lost a lot, I said. She didn't interrupt. But I also gained something, I added. What? She asked. Clarity. The word felt simple, but it held everything. Later that night, I stayed awake longer than usual. Not because I was hurting, but because I was thinking. I replayed everything in my mind. Not the pain, not the betrayal, but what it built in me afterward. I understood something I hadn't before. Betrayal doesn't just break trust. It rebuilds identity. It forces you to see yourself without illusions. I whispered to myself, I survived it. And for the first time, that didn't feel like a scar. It felt like strength. I thought about Emma again. Not as the girl who destroyed me, but as someone who shaped a version of me I would never go back to. I realized I didn't need her forgiveness, and she didn't need mine. We had already moved past each other in ways words couldn't fix. The next morning, I met Lucas for coffee. You look calm, he said. I am. No anger left? I thought about it honestly. No. Not even a little? I shook my head. I think I used it up learning how to survive. He smiled slightly. That's probably healthier. I laughed softly. Probably. We sat in silence for a while. Then Lucas said, So what now? I looked out the window. I build something new, I said. What kind of something? Something that isn't based on fear. He nodded. That sounds like you finally learned. I didn't answer, because he was right. That evening, I walked alone through the city. The air felt different now. Not lighter, not heavier, just real. I stopped near the river and watched the water move. No past chasing me. No future haunting me. Just me. I thought about the final truth I had been carrying all along. Not about Emma, but about myself. I spoke it quietly into the wind. The girl I loved had been lying to me since the day we first met. I couldn't change what she stole from me, but I could decide what happened next. And this time, my life belonged to me.